Hey, everybody. Sorry for the late start, but here we go. Mike Shope with Adam Krautwurst, another edition of the Deep End Dynasty style tonight. We're going to talk Dynasty with IDP. So if you're interested in IDP, or certainly if you're in a league with defensive players, tonight's key. We don't talk a lot of that. Seems like most of the industry doesn't give too much time to it, but it's right to give some. So we'll do that. We'll check in on our $1,000 Dynasty startup draft, which is far from over. And see the new set. So I'll explain that in a minute. Thanks for watching. This is the Deep End. Let's go. Felt like when we started, you guys brought me on and the green screen was in the mail. Like, this is what you need. If you're going to actually do this, you're going to have a green screen. So you and I have been using them the whole time. But every time I watch any of these other shows, they got stuff. It's books or it's just pictures of a dog. Like, there's stuff back there. So tonight I took a shot at stuff. See the new set. This is actually, Adam, what I've been sitting in front of every one of these shows. I'm in the same exact position in my house in the basement and just moved the green screen out of the way, put a couple helmets up, and hung my daughter's Buffalo Regals jersey up. That's pretty much it.
I love it. I was actually thinking the other day about doing the same thing. I know a lot of the podcasters have been doing that in the background. I think it looks great. The reason why I'm a green screen fan is because I just like, if you don't have a setup like yours back there, it just looks not great. So I feel like if you're going to host a show, you want to look semi-professional. Yours looks great. I don't have that stuff. I don't have a Regals jersey. I don't have signed Super Bowl helmets. So
you're young, though.
I'm not there yet. I'm not there.
You're young. I can get you a Regals jersey. Don't worry about it.
I just need the Regals jersey, and I just got to put up a Josh Allen fathead behind me. That's all I need.
Yeah, that's all you need.
That's all I need.
I actually, in terms of the art aspect of it, I think the simplicity is better. To me, this picture behind me is so almost like upsetting. There's so much stuff there. So I'll tweak it. Next week, I think I want to be able to get my whole head in the shot. My forehead easily fits, but not my entire body or head. So I got to fix that a little bit. Move those glasses around. My son. So I went upstairs about 10 minutes ago and asked my daughter, is it all right? I want to ask her permission. Is it all right if I hang your jersey up rather? And she's like, yeah, sure. And my son's like, you want one of mine? I'm like, yeah, not thinking, tonight. So he raced down here with this baseball jersey. Like, he wanted to get that thing up there. And I said, how about next week? So we will do that soon enough. We're going to talk to Adam Zekas tonight, DL football. And he's into IDP. So I roped you into Empire Niagara last year, and we have this, I think, unique format, which includes defensive players. What did you think of it in year one before we bring Adam on? And like sort of the balance in terms of how many IDP leagues you want to be in, or just sort of what you want to do with it?
Yeah, hey, Adam's actually backstage, but I'm going to give this answer first before we bring him on. I've heard people say that the purest form of fantasy football is IDP leagues, right? Because it's look at Adam's backstage shaking his head. He's fired up. He's ready.
Bring him on. But, he can watch. I want to see him react to your answer anyway.
All right, bring him in. I'm just going to bring him in. We're bringing him in. Adam, what's up, buddy?
What's up?
Back there?
Yeah, how you guys doing?
Hey,
is that
Adam, nice to meet you.
Oh, what is that?
Eagles.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, Buffalo, we're sort of claiming all this territory when it comes to fantasy, the main event winner and draft sharks and whatever I am. But Philadelphia, Adam Krautwurst, Darren Armani either time. And like Philly that's a hot spot, isn't it? Is that right, Adam? Like Philly, you have a lot of fellow Dynasty serious players.
There's a lot of people there, and like actually because the Philly area is like big. Like you start talking, even if you get all the way to Pittsburgh and stuff like that, but the whole area in South Jersey, there's so many people who play fantasy football there. There's a lot of I don't use the word degenerate, but there's a lot of people who are very serious about sports, like very very serious about sports betting and all that stuff too. So you get a lot of people that know a lot of stuff, and at least definitely like try to say they know a lot of stuff too. So it's a really good place if you want to get into sports for sure.
They're both super hardcore, Adam, like sports markets. You were going to say that? Sorry.
I was gonna say, I was like, Bills Mafia gets a crazy rap for jumping on tables and stuff. I think the Eagles fans get the rap too for what, throwing batteries or whatever.
they're
goes
crazy,
on
man.
there.
Fighting Santa and stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of bad stories.
Yeah, there's like a jail underneath the stadium.
But honestly, like, I actually live in Florida now, so compared to the fan bases I've seen, Philly is like the most passionate. I mean, some of the people go way off the deep end. I'm sure there are a lot of Bills people on the talk radio way off the deep end too. But it's love. There's like so much passion and stuff in the sports scene, so it's awesome.
I have a friend in sports radio in Philadelphia, Glenn Macnow, who's from Western New York. And that's kind of a little bit of how I know him. And he and I are the same, Adam. Like, we both get very defensive about the idea that every fan here is a lunatic. Like, it's not true at all. A lot of us are completely normal people. There are X percent, small percent of the people jumping on tables. Or like, he gets very defensive about the booing Santa. It's the first thing anybody says. I commend you for saying it, being from there. But no, that is not who we are, and I feel like I'm sort of the same.
It just so happens that all the people that are super lunatics are the ones who always call into the radio shows. So
right,
Philly Talk Radio, like, if you're really bored one day and you can pull up a stream online of Philly Talk Radio, like WIP, like sports radio, the things people talk about, the things that they think that the team should do is just so amazing. Like, it's just hilarious and great. I love it.
I guess today it's straight for
Mike
Kyler
knows
Murray.
nothing about the talk radio world.
Yeah, that's my other job, or that's my job, depending on how I want to put it. So, Adam Krautwurst, you were saying IDP leagues.
Yes. So I think I don't disagree with them being the purest form of fantasy football. I think that's absolutely right. I just don't. With me, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it the best that I possibly can, and that's why I'm into the high stakes world. I'm going to commit. If I'm going to commit my money, I'm going to commit it to win the most money and put everything into it. IDP, I can't do it to the fullest that it needs to be done to be super successful at it. So I'm not in a ton of them. I'm in like one, and it's your league, Mike. And I've been in them before. I get it. I respect it. I understand it. But when I go into a draft, I don't even it's just like my last 10, whatever the last couple picks are, which is generally what most people do. So you can still make a nice defense just beating other players to the punch. For the draft with you, Mike, for your Dynasty League, Matt Schauf is the IDP expert over at Draft Sharks. And I just messaged him like, hey, give me 5 or 6 players that everyone else is lower on. And I kind of just targeted those guys. And you have some unique rules in yours too, where you have to, the team defense has to match some of the players on your team IDP. So that makes it a little bit more difficult to just take whoever. But I do really like the idea of doing IDP.
Well, Adam, should we call you Sticky? Because
Sticky Z. That one's good.
How sticky is IDP value year to year, right? Because Matt is giving Adam names, and every fan can name a dozen or more stars in the NFL defensively, but generally, how well does that translate to fantasy?
Yeah, I think it's sort of like a top down approach. Like, a lot of the major names aren't going to change year to year, and it does happen. I think that when you talk about different positions, different players are going to cycle in and out faster. Like linebacker, just a quick example, is going to move really a lot quicker. Those players don't tend to last for super long if you're not able to keep up with the super athletic tight ends, the super athletic wide receivers, athletic running backs. You're not really going to stick that long. So injuries, if those things happen, like if you lose a step, that's a big deal. So obviously some of the big edge guys, the TJ Watts and the Myles Garretts and all those guys are going to stick around for a long time. I mean, defensive ends and edge players will go into their 30s if you're really good. I mean, JJ Watt is a great example. I think he's 33, and he had one of his best career years last year. So those guys stick around, and then safeties tend to stick around as well, right? So it's sort of a positional approach, but at the same time, not everyone knows every third string running back, and every backup tight end, right? So it definitely is a go as deep as you feel comfortable with type of thing. And it can be pretty good year to year. I think getting the top group year to year is really hard. It's really hard to say these guys are going to be the top 12 every single year because of the different scoring and different schemes and stuff like that and the way that works out. Where on the offense, like Christian McCaffrey, when he's healthy, is going to be good. Derrick Henry's going to get the touches and he's going to be good. That does happen. There's a bit of a difference there, but I think the edge guys is a lot easier to figure out those guys, and then the safety as well. It's really more positionally nuanced, I think.
You're talking about how linebackers end up getting sort of weeded out, maybe sort of a little bit similar to running backs.
Yep.
You have a shorter shelf life. What about tackles as a stat? It seems to me that I'm the amateur here, but that's like so all over the place. And in my limited experience with IDP, I feel like that's just been not completely random, but hard to predict. Harder.
Yeah, it's something that I tend to bring up a lot of times with people is they don't know that a tackle is not an official NFL stat. There is no official definition that every single scoring crew gets that this is what a tackle is. So it ends up being a little bit into interpretation of the scoring crew, and some crews give more assists than others. Seattle is one, Buffalo is another. They tend to give more assists. I think it evens out throughout the rest of the year. It's not really something you want to like focus on too much. But again, yeah, like, it's hard to say who gets a tackle if one guy pushes somebody and then somebody just cleans it up. You know, who deserves that tackle. So it can be a little rough. That's why I think I think scoring is really important. Your lineups are really important. How you define your starting lineups and where you kind of put the positional value on, how deep you go in IDP, I think adds a lot more than just kind of looking at some of the base stats.
Do you find also too, because I have such limited experience with IDP, I go in thinking, man, I want to take, I don't know all like the sleeper linebackers or like even the average linebacker. So I'm like, man, I want to go get, I'm just going to use this name for example. I want to go get a Von Miller because he's in Buffalo. He's a big name. He's going to make plays and get sacks, but that doesn't necessarily lead to, like, I know in the past I've gone into an IDP draft. I'm looking at them like, where is this D end that's all world? Why is he ranked 25th? Is it because splash plays like they just don't pay the bills?
Yeah, we talk about on the Read and React podcast. It's a DLF podcast, IDP only. We talk about you really need to learn your scoring and your lineups, because your scoring is going to determine if someone like Von Miller is valuable or not. A lot of the times the people put the scoring into two categories, either big play or tackle. And we're working hard to kind of blend the two and make like a good scoring system that is more realistic to actual good players. And there's a lot that you can go into with that. And if you're interested in it, we talk about it on the podcast all the time. We talk about true position is where you take someone like Von Miller and you lump him with other edge players instead of him being designated as a linebacker. And that gives the edge his own position. So now we're just talking about the actual good pass rushers. And then if you're on MFL, if you're on some of the other sites, ESPN and stuff like that, you can do tiered scoring where you're giving different scoring based on the position. So DTs score differently than safeties or something like that. Obviously, if a defensive tackle gets a sack, that's kind of more rare than a safety getting a sack or something like that. Especially someone like Jamal Adams, who's like putting big sack numbers up. So I think if you blend all these things together and you have really deep, good lineups, you're starting a certain number of IDP, you're going deep into it. I think it gives it a lot more color. I think a lot of times that when people dive in a little bit, they're like, oh, we'll have 3 IDP, but they're starting 9, 10, 11 offense, right? So it doesn't, and there's a lot more defensive players that play than there are offensive players that play on any given snap. I mean, you're throwing away 5 of the offensive linemen basically, and 1 or 2 a tight end that's a blocking tight end. So you're just getting rid of half the players. And the IDP, we're going to score all the players, so it makes it a little bit of a deeper, and when you're really only looking at a small, shallow starting lineup, you're not really going to get true good IDP. But just to really quickly bring back to your original point, like I fully agree with you. Like if you don't know all the sleepers and stuff, like I have no problem with people taking Darius Leonard, Devin White, like in the super early than the experts would say, because you're more familiar with it. So I'm totally up for that. People need to feel comfortable. Like I don't think you should worry too much about it.
I am in 2 dynasty leagues with IDP. One is the one Adam and I are in together. And this I want to say to people who are starting leagues. I feel like Dynasty is really growing again this year. And maybe people are watching us who kind of want to get into it, just now get into it. And what we did with that league, what I wanted is to have it be unique. I wanted a couple of scoring things that made it different. And I was in one where you had to start 1 defensive player from your team defense. So we incorporated that. And the other one I'm in is run by Mike Dempsey, the Football Diehards, and in Jacksonville. And we start 9 or 11. It's 9 or 11 or 11-9 offense versus defense, which is pretty hefty. And I've learned a lot about the league. One of the best things about fantasy sports is you learn a lot about the players and, especially prospects even. I think that's really great. And so both of these leagues, especially Mike's, I would say, are what you described, Sticky, with a tackle if you're a linebacker is worth X, a tackle if you're a corner is worth X times 2 or whatever it is. And it can really make you, feel like you have to dig in to win, which is good.
Yeah, I like that. Like everybody can play their own flavor. You know, if you want to just have a little IDP flex or whatever, a little dusting, like that's fine. Like I don't have a problem with that. You know, I want people to do what they feel comfortable with. For me, like I agree. Like I want to have more defensive players than offensive players because, like I said before, there's more defensive players that are playing on any given snap. So you're talking about, you know, a much bigger depth of players, and you want to kind of do 9-11 or 11-13, like sometimes we even do. And I 100% agree with you. Uniqueness is my favorite thing about Dynasty. Is like I have some incredibly unique leagues that are one of one leagues that just don't exist anywhere else, and you know they're $25 dues because it's not, you know, we're not that serious about it. Adam, you talked about like huge high stakes. Like I don't have the anxiety levels to handle high stakes leagues, you know. So for me, I'm like, okay, I'll do $25. Now I do 30 leagues, so it's like 25 times 30. It's the same amount, but you know, it's a bit of a more nuance to it, and I just want people to, you know, have fun. That's all I care about, really. Like you just want to, at the end of the day, be like, this was a blast, or this is not for me, and I'm gonna find a new league. You know, like I think both those approaches are like super valid.
Yeah, IDP's fun. I don't want to put you on the spot here because I know it's early and we haven't even had at the draft yet. But off the top of your head, is there any or any research that you've done, any defensive players that currently you think you might be higher on than maybe some of the other IDP experts out there, or maybe some of the other sites out there?
There's a couple players that I kind of went a little deeper on. I'm not a big Aiden Hutchinson fan. I kind of like Kayvon Thibodeau a lot better. I think he has a much higher ceiling. I like David Ojabo. I don't know how you say his last name exactly, but you know, he ended up tearing his, I think it was Achilles, which it was either Achilles or ACL, and neither are good. So that I was really hyped for him. I like the players who have these crazy high ceilings because, you know, you draft them in the third, fourth round of a rookie draft, and you know the return on investment could be really high, and like what you're giving up is not much. I mean, talking about like 5th, 6th round running backs versus, you know, a 1st round edge guy, right? So I like them. I like Nick Cross a lot, a safety. He's somebody who I think is going to be able to step in as a strong safety, which is really what you're looking for in IDP, and be really good, and someone who's not getting like a ton of press. And there's a big group of safeties this year, so you know I think he's someone you can kind of pick out as a target. Linebacker, I forgot his name. He went to some like Mountain State. I think it's Martin. He's another super athletic guy. Who's I liked his tape a lot as well. So just some players, you know, I throw out there. I haven't done as much rookie this year as I have in the past. I have, you know, real life engagements that have kind of slowed me down a little bit than it used to. But I'm excited to just have the draft, and really, like at the end of the day, the draft is like the biggest indicator of success anyway. So sometimes the pre-draft process is more fun than it is useful.
Correct. Yeah,
I can't help you pronounce that guy's name because once I learned Aquabitum, I've decided I'm not going to learn any new names. I got that. That's my brand. I'm getting T-shirts made for the expo. You know, new guy comes along, tricky name. I'm just going to pass on
IDP. I mean, now you're adding another, you know, 600 players like to the mind. It's like there's so many players that have crazy names, and some of these athletes are like just they're coming from crazy places and they have insane names, and they're really good at football.
Thibodeau, I can do.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen Key and Peele where they do the college football name?
Yep. Desmond Duncan.
Yeah, that's right. That's a pretty funny skit.
Yeah, I love that skit.
Did you say you were lower on Aiden Hutchinson? And if so, why? Because I just see, you know, what you'd kind of expect to see out of that type of player. And plus, I don't know, I'm a sucker for like a bloodline, like an NFL bloodline, you know, the Watts and
Matthews.
You know, the Matthews, exactly. Like I feel like he maybe he doesn't have the athletic ceiling as the other guys, but I just feel like he's a no doubt about it player.
Yeah, I don't see like I don't see like you look at Chase Young last year or 2 years ago, like it's just like exploding. Like I don't think he's even like really close to that. Obviously, I think he's more of he's a less risky prospect, and like, you know, if he goes first overall, like obviously, you know, I think he's deserving of that. I think for IDP, I'm not sure exactly where he fits in terms of like the broader like edge rankings. So I don't really see like the massive ceiling like you mentioned. I usually tend to go for those players. You know, sometimes I saw him like locked up a couple times, and you know, for me, I know they're in college, but sometimes the effort stuff, and like an NFL coach is going to tear you up if you're lacking effort. And I saw that from him at times, but you know, he's you know, destroying people on the regular. So you know, I kind of understand that. I do see some great stuff. Like he has good hands, good block shred ability, and stuff like that. So I think it'll be good. I just kind of feel like I like the ceiling of Thibodeau a little bit better. And again, like unless you're like a big time stud, like I'm not like open up the vault for you.
Right. That makes sense.
So Adam, I don't want you to feel like you've been typecast here. You get into you're the IDP guy, and then you go on a show, and everybody just wants to ask IDP questions. Do you have? Okay, I'm glad. Well, I will ask you one more then, since you're so game about it. Is it possible to sort of answer this question without knowing a point system? Because there probably is all this variety in how fantasy leagues with IDPs figure out points. Is it possible to say, like, so where should the first defensive player go in a rookie draft? And I'm thinking that might vary just generally without knowing format considerably year to year. And maybe this is a year where they would do better than usually.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good question, right? And actually, people ask that question all the time. And like the easy answer is, well, it depends on your scoring, right? I think in some of like my leagues where we're like I said, we're starting like 13 IDP guys, where the scoring is really high. They're scoring, a Chase Young or someone like that is going to end up scoring similar to a top end wide receiver or something like that, where it's like we're really trying to balance the scoring is what we talk about. And whether you're using like a no position left behind scoring or IDP 1, 2, 3. Those are scoring systems. If you're familiar with the terms, then you know that you have it. Where it does make sense to kind of go in the first round for a big edge player. And that tends to be, if you're in a really balanced league, that's what I would recommend normally. I don't know about this year because, like you said, like maybe I'm not in love with Aiden Hutchinson, but the offensive side of the ball is not as sexy as it usually is. So I could see him kind of maybe if he's the first round pick, and if he kind of sneaks into the 112 area, I think that's probably normal for a balanced scoring. If you're in like an IDP, even like not just starting 3, if you're starting 5 or something like that, maybe like late second, mid second. And then we always talk about like an IDP circle is like the third round is the IDP round, because that's when you're hitting the all the great offensive prospects, all the guys with ceiling, all the Joe Mechis and the stuff like that are hurt are getting like they're drafted already. So now we can, instead of taking somebody who like a pet project running back or something like that, then that's when you're going to want to focus on the IDP because the value is kind of caught up to it. So it is league specific. This year again, like some of the like Devin Lloyd or something like that, like really strong linebacker. Depending on where he goes in the draft, I mean, I could probably see him early second or something like that if you have a need there. Not something I would do. I tend to wait on linebacker until I'll pick up waiver wire guys before I spend draft capital. Just because it's a replaceable position, and like there's at least like 8 really good players coming in this year, good to great players that are coming in. So it's a position you can kind of float.
It is pretty close to running back, isn't it? Like it's replaceable, but it's powerful. Like linebackers are the money defensive position in both mine. Like that's where Oluokun and Deion Jones and Bobby Wagner are guys who have been good for me. And in terms of Jones and Wagner, they've had longer careers. But
absolutely,
and there is turnover.
It is similar, especially if you happen to be in true position where we've taken some of the linebackers out, they become edge players. So now the linebacker that was huge is now getting condensed, and then teams are using less linebackers. It used to be 10 years ago. You look at any NFL team, they have 3 linebackers on the field every single snap. 3 linebackers were stopping the run, and that's become 2 in like 5 years ago as the pass gets bigger. Now it's becoming 1 in a lot of systems. And maybe they start with 2, but most snaps are nickel or dime. You have 1 linebacker out there. So there's less and less opportunity for linebackers. So it's becoming a much more shallow position where the guys like I said, like Darius Leonard, like I'm fine with taking him early. Like it's hard to always fall into a really strong guy there. There's always value to be had, but it is very similar to linebacker where it's like we have a really tight echelon of guys that are going to be good. And then it kind of gets wide open after that.
Yeah,
in terms of dynasty, in dynasty, Adam, like the same principle, right? Like Adam and I are in a dynasty draft now, and like when do you go get those older running backs? It seems like the same thing, right? Adam, maybe you were gonna.
Yeah, exactly. It's I think running back's really comparable there, and then it's so fun talking about the different position changes too and the different philosophies because, the NFL offenses now, they're all spread. They're all, like you say, some teams are playing 1 linebacker. The Bills right now basically play 2. They play Edmonds and Milano. And thinking back to the best defenses in the 90s like the Bills and Steelers, they were playing 3-4 defenses with 4 linebackers on the field. So it's like,
Right.
And those outside
Bills are running a lot of snaps with just Milano. I mean, Edmonds is not great in coverage, right? And Matt Milano is a sort of a coverage guy. So, you want to pull in another safety out there and just kind of rock a little bit, another corner, and you're feeling good because, Milano can carry some of the tight ends and running backs that, you really, if you feel like they're not going to run, and then these guys are so big, everyone's huge these days. It's like you can still, a big safety or even a big corner is able to come and get these running backs and stuff if they do run. So there's a lot of more options, I think, for offenses, and the defense is kind of still sort of on the back foot a little bit, I think.
It's fallen perfectly for the Bills, Adam. I mean, like, I think this is right, Sticky, that they go entire games with only those 2 linebackers ever seeing the field. And they score like they score. So, go ahead and run on us. Go ahead and take advantage. It's not going to, you're not going to win. So it sort of had the perfect.
There's definitely something. I think it's a sort of a myth. Like if you are a good team, you have a good defense. But I think it does, like, it makes it easier to identify which defensive players may, get a little bit more opportunity. Maybe from like a corner perspective as well, where it's like they're going to throw on us a ton, right? So I'm going to get pass defended, I'm going to get tackles with my corners, and there's definitely some strategy there. And like you said, like the Bills, people are going to have to throw on them. You're not really going to be able to run on them much, right? So they'll be able to be in those sets that are a little bit more friendly.
What are your thoughts, real quick? I know we gotta probably let you go soon. What are your thoughts on, because it's a semi-hot topic. I want this topic to be much hotter than it actually is, but it is still a hot topic. Tremaine Edmonds. I've been out on Edmonds since the moment I saw him hit the football fields. It's a hot topic. Do we re-sign him? Do we extend him here? I know you're more of a fantasy guy, but what are your just general thoughts as being unbiased now that I've biased you?
That you biased me?
Unbiased opinion.
Wow.
I'm killing for time as I bring up my notes from him from when he was a rookie, because
I will kill for time. My whole thing is we like to talk about, like, you don't trade up for players. You don't trade up for linebackers in 2018-19. A guy who can't get to the passer, or they don't ask to get to the passer. He doesn't really get off blocks that well. You said he's not very good in coverage. I just don't want to give him a ton of money when we can sign offensive players. That's all I'm saying. Like, good.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's super young, right? I think he's still like 23.
I keep hearing he's like 18. He's like the DJ Moore.
He's never gone older.
The Amari Cooper of defense. Yes.
He's the DJ Moore. He gets younger and younger every year.
Yeah. For me, like, I think he's someone who we projected a lot onto him. Like, I think we're like, if he can do this, he'll be great. And then that didn't happen, and whether that's a question of coaching, which is something I fully believe that not every player and every coach is going to be a perfect fit. Even if it's a good defense or whatever, like, you need to have there needs to be some sort of like relationship there. And, we see this all the time where a player changes teams and then they're amazing. And you're like, well, what happened? I'm like, well, it's the coaching, and he's not being used correctly. I don't think it's the usage. I think he's become a really good run stopper. And like, that's it, So I think today's NFL, you need to do more. I think everyone can run stop. I think you need to be able to do more, and the coverage is a problem. I mean, for me, like, I'm an Eagles fan. Like, we're rocking the 0 linebacker thing, and I'm happy about that. You can get a linebacker anywhere. I mean, Bobby Wagner, didn't get a ton of money. You can find linebackers like at the hardware store. I mean, you can find these guys anywhere. The draft is so deep with them all the time, and all these guys are like projects. And if you can get the diamond in the rough, it's a lot easier a linebacker when there's going to be 30 of them drafted or something like that. So, and they're super athletic now. These guys are crazy athletic, and you can get the brain part right. If you can teach them up, then you're going to have a good player.
The Bills, we've talked about them here, and they deserve a lot of credit for what they've built. They've also traded up for linebackers twice early in the last 5 years. And so I'm the guy here I'm one guy anyway, who tries to keep that honest. I don't think the Bills didn't just sort of reinvent how much you can know about what's going to happen. I know they've traded up for Edmonds and Zay Jones and Cody Ford, and before Brandon Beane and McDermott got here, Reggie Ragland, and like all of those I think were bad ideas. But they also traded up for Allen, and so life is pretty easy if you get that one right. All right, so I gotta, I'll save that for WGR. That's fine. Adam Kraut was brought up. What should the Bills resign Edmonds? I felt like I was, it was about 4 hours.
Yeah, my answer's no.
Yeah, my answer's no. I don't think they will. I don't think they will. Especially with Von Miller, I think that maybe clinch that, but we'll see. Sticky, before you go, it's almost like I want to ask you this privately, but we'll do it on the show. MFL Sticky Board. I don't know
Yes.
which came first, the nickname or that, because it could be, I don't know. We were just meeting tonight, but I have, I don't know, at least 10 leagues on that site. I like that site. It's so kind of, what's the word? I mean,
Basic?
it's not showy at all. NFL,
Basic,
but
yeah. But
it's my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. I've actually never talked to anyone in person besides some of my friends who use it, so I really appreciate hearing that. You know, I made it for myself to begin with. I was like, I got too many leagues. I can't see my trades. I can't see my scoring. Like I didn't know about the MFL live scoring page. I had no idea that existed until someone brought to my attention. I was like, oh, that's the same thing. I can use that. So I made it for myself first, and I don't care what stuff looks like. And that's part of the reason why I like MFL, because I don't care what stuff looks like.
Yes.
I just want it to work and be programmed and be, you know, work the way I expect it to. And I don't need the flashy, like, I don't need, oh man, I don't want to get too much into it, but I don't need coins and bears and little emojis and stuff like that. It's great if you like that stuff, but like, it's not for me. So, I don't want to throw shit on a specific platform, but I really appreciate hearing that. Honestly, like I just made it for me, and I was like, hey, other people might like this. And I have 2 small kids, so I have like these huge plans that I have no time for. But I would love to do more and add more tools and make like its own suite of, you know, cool MFL tools. You know, that's on the back burner somewhere. But I really appreciate hearing that, honestly.
No, you're welcome. Those guys deserve it. There's so much detail on that site, and it's easy to get sort of, I don't know, frustrated. Yep. I know with different leagues, especially during COVID, where you had to, like, Tuesday games and whatnot, there were changes you had to make, and it was hard for me to figure that out. It's not a criticism. Don't feel bad about it. It's just your personal style. Like, it's mine. There were kids who grew up that wanted video games, and there were other kids who wanted board games. And, you know, like baseball sims, I still play Stratomatic because I don't want, you know, my son plays Baseball 9 where the cartoon players have giant heads, and, you know, like give me the dice and the numbers and the letters, and, you know, that sort of agrees with me.
I have the similar respect there, and like, you just, things you can't do on Sleeper or on Yahoo or on whatever. Like, you need to have a Google Sheets and yada yada, but MFL does it all. I have a Monopoly theme league. I have a 100 roster spot league, 12 team, 100 rosters.
Wow.
I have a 22 flex, all flexes, 22 flexes leagues. You can't do that other places. Like, it is, I can do whatever I want. And like, that's what me and my, you know, I don't want to say degenerate friends again, but me and my degenerate, we love that. Like, we played Dynasty for 10, 20 years now. It's like, we need something fresh, keep it exciting and make it new. Every time I get a trade offer, it's new. So MFL lets me do that. So I do really appreciate hearing about the sticky board. I'm going to keep it running just for you, Mike.
Thanks. Yeah. You know what got me to MFL originally was Guillotine.
Okay. Yeah. That's a cool league.
I heard Scott Fish maybe and Charchin, who invented it, or maybe did.
And now people doing Vampire, and like, you know, you have to, like, it's really hard to do it on other platforms, and they're adding it their own, and like, you can just do it. Like, you do whatever you want. It's great.
Adam, you down for some Vampire? That's like, one guy doesn't draft and then builds his team off waivers, and then you play head to head, and if he beats you, he gets all your play, or he gets one player.
He gets one player. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Of course, I'm down for it.
It's hard. It's weird in Dynasty. I've seen people do Dynasty with it, but it's definitely more of a redraft thing, which is, you know, that's fine. But it's fun, especially if you're able to pull it off. I think you kind of start snowballing after a while, but it's definitely a pretty cool setup.
That's what I've never done.
As long as we can make it $1,000 buy-in. Okay.
Well, usually I've seen people do it with a Vampire doesn't buy in. So if they're the Vampire, they don't pay.
I like it.
It makes it a little more of more risk on the line.
Perfect. I like the idea. Adam pays $1,000 and I'll play.
Some people pick it, like, you know, like, I'll be the Vampire, and some people are like, it's randomized or whatever. I don't really know exactly. I'm pretty sure my co-host invented that. Tom Kisslingberry, another DLF senior writer.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure he invented it. I'm pretty sure. I'll go on the record as saying that he came up with that. And,
okay, I have something to do tonight, is to listen to you guys, because I didn't know about this until today. And Tom, he's in England, maybe?
Yes.
I have been following him and using him as like proof, like, say it's the Bills or whatever, like, here's a guy. Yeah. He sort of became to me somebody that I decided he knows it. So all those charts and everything, Adam Krautwurst, this guy, what a great night. What a great job. I'm so glad
if you want to learn about defensive schemes, he puts out it's like 70 slides every single year. He's done this is his second year. And if you go and look, and this is the data, like he's looking at the data, like every snap, PFF charts every single player, and he takes it and extrapolates it and says, this team did this, this team did this, this team did this, they do this, this is how they use this is how they use their safeties, this is how they use their linebackers, and it is the most amazing resource, and it's free. That's the best part. It's free. Anyone can go and look at it. It's amazing.
Awesome.
Adam, listen, this is really cool because I got to know who he was. Probably it was the Dempsey League where I felt like I needed to know more about IDP. And I do sports radio in Buffalo. And so I have my usual ways of determining what's what or my perceptions of the Bills, and we talk about them. Kislingberry comes out, and he's got that thing you just described. And this is, I think, last year. And I remember this is not going to be exactly right, but there's something about the Bills where you're like, this is the most same one-note, consistent team in the league for how they line up, who they use. There's less variety with Buffalo than any other team. And I just took that. I didn't, steal it. I'm not saying I did or say I've learned this or anything like that, but you sort of absorb it. And this is a guy where I feel like I know he's right. I don't have to check it. I just know he's right.
Yeah.
And so
he's a data guy too, right? So he's big
Yes.
into film versus data, right? And it's people have these conceptions, and he's like, no. And what I talked about earlier about how bad defenses or good offenses make good defenses or whatever. He's debunked that before. It's on there. Every single myth that you think of, he's looked at the data and came up with their response.
That is
it's
right.
Awesome.
That is right down.
It's
Right
down
up
your
my
alley.
alley. That is
Right down your street, up your alley.
Up my alley. That's right. All right. Sticky. Any questions for us?
Questions for you guys. Do you live in Buffalo?
I live just
Neither
north of
of us
Buffalo on Grand Island. Adam lives in Raj.
If I had to eat one thing for the rest of my life, it would be buffalo wings. So, are they actually really good there, or is it just kind of become a thing?
Michael, you want to?
Of course.
No, okay.
Of
He
course.
can't say anything. He has to say they're the best in Buffalo.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I like them now and again, but they're not a regular thing. But I know I lived in Rochester where Adam lives. I lived there. I don't know what. I used to know this number like it was nothing. Now I'm sort of thinking about it. 9 or 10 years, and very different. It's an hour away. No, it's not.
No, he said no.
I was just about to have the hottest take. It's even hotter than I thought it was. You've been gone for a while, Mike. There are wing places in Rochester that rival Buffalo. In fact, Anchor Bar tried to come out here. Duff's tried to come out here. Get out of here. Didn't make it a year. Okay,
that's because the cities don't want to have anything to do with each other. It's blind taste test. I don't know how well you would do, but I'm open to pursuing that. Information.
I used to have a rule that I wouldn't eat wings if they were more than $1 a wing, and I was stuck. It may have been 6, 7, 8 years that I was I will not eat there if it's $16 for 12 wings. That's ridiculous. And now, unfortunately, I don't have a choice. But I try to be a purist for so long. I live in South Florida. There's some really, really good wings here. Some of the I've had them in a lot of places. I tend to try that everywhere, and a couple of spots here just absolutely really good.
Last question, Sticky.
Go ahead.
Ranch or blue cheese?
Oh man, do you know who Joey Diaz is?
I don't.
Well, he has this famous quote. It's Joe Rogan podcast, but this was 6 years ago before it, whatever. It was blue cheese or go something your mother, and that's how I feel. Blue cheese, no question, you gotta go blue cheese.
Love it.
Ranch is I love ranch. Ranch is awesome, but it doesn't go on wings.
Yeah, ranch is not for wings. Right.
Yeah, no, there's an area where I could get in trouble saying something.
Oh no.
Who cares is my answer.
That's true. That's fine. Hey, that's fine. That's fine.
Do what you like.
That's true.
It doesn't have to be tribal.
That's fair.
It's a
100%,
condiment.
yeah.
It's a condiment.
I'm not gonna smack them out of someone's hand if they're eating ranch on their wings.
No.
I would judge them silently in my own tribe of myself.
I don't think I ever have eaten ranch dressing on chicken wings, but I don't care if you do. I can't imagine being upset about it. Okay, what a nice time this has been. Thanks a lot for joining us at DL Football.
Yeah, there should be an extra F there, but it's DL Football. I'm at Adam TZ.
Right.
That's me, and it's a Read and React IDP podcast. It's on the DLF feed. You can find it on its own as well. We try to be bi-weekly, but it's kind of tough to schedule with people in the UK, so we do our best.
Yeah, I bet.
Holy cow!
Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad we met.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thanks so much, Adam. Awesome stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
IDP, man. We haven't done an IDP show in 3 years.
No, and it was just right. I mean, that it is a feature. If you're somebody like us, and the way he described himself, where you're always looking for a new league, a new format, something to keep it interesting for you, then obviously that's one where. And I said it before, but this was a baseball point for me. It's a hockey point right now. I guess even golf. Like, I just like how participating in fantasy expands your knowledge about the player pools and the game, even, in terms of IDP, or like in baseball, where you have to know who's good in AAA on teams. Like I want to know that stuff. As life goes by, there's times where you realize you don't have room for some of it.
That's right.
But I do like it's sort of, as you get older, other things have to help you keep your interest in sports, I think, because the basic stuff kind of gets boring. So I think these new formats and fantasy itself can help keep it interesting. And IDP for football is an obvious one and worth trying. I've had fun with it.
Yeah, and I think that was the kind of the point, that long-winded point I was trying to make, is I don't have time for a lot of IDP. It's hard to make time for it. My new kind of, because I've been playing fantasy since I was like 8. It's like now it's super flex. Well, it was tight end premium. I've been doing that for years and years. Now it's super flex and tight end premium, and so it's just it's how can you keep it fresh but also keep it consistent and have fun with it.
All right, you put the board up here. We've gone a little bit long, but I'm having fun. If you are, hopefully.
No, this has been great. And so I was on. We'll show this draft board a little bit. I think we're on the clock soon. We got like 5 or 6 picks. We're on the clock. Last week we picked live. We picked T. Higgins under the first, but
no.
What?
So Louis went and picked Ronald Jones. Did he mean to? Probably did. Like, he was on the clock all day.
And then he takes our guy.
Well, I think you hate Ronald Jones.
No, I don't mind him in Kansas City as the,
I was looking forward to a tussle with you about Ronald Jones, but I know Louis liked him. So he might have had a cue, or he might have just, with 2 seconds to go, decided to pick Ronald Jones. I don't know what happened there, but it doesn't surprise me that he got him. He has another pick before us anyway.
Well, when you said Ronald Jones, when I said, how I feel about Ronald Jones, I thought you knew that I liked him. We talked maybe on the pod 2 weeks ago, and I was like, I like him. I think he's the best. I think he's the best runner in Kansas City. I wouldn't have taken him where we were around 2 rounds ago, but I still wouldn't mind him at all. But
I guess I didn't know how you felt about him, because I did assume that I was supposed to know that you hated him, because there's so many people who do. But I like him a lot now, and in the middle rounds of this thing, where you want running backs who either are rookies and dart throws, or they're going to play and give you some chance at upside. So now this board is weird because it's not our team.
Right. That's right. So the board is the small red print is the team who actually has them, because there's so many trades. So people watching don't pay attention to the actual colors in each row. But we did take T. Higgins. But I wanted to specifically talk about Kyle Pitts, because the cat's out of the bag. Louis broke it down in his show a couple nights ago. That's Louis G on the Analytics Are for Nerds podcast, about how we traded up thinking that this was a tight end premium, and then you were like, hey, we should probably double check before we take Kyle Pitts that it's a tight end premium. I said, okay. So I text Billy, this is tight end premium, right? He's like, no. I'm like, oh my God, Mike's gonna kill me. So but we talk it out, we do our thing, and we decide to go with Kyle Pitts because a bunch of reasons. He's a bigger difference maker, I think, over the course of his career than CeeDee Lamb will be, just talking about the guys that were taken there. But then Louis has some guests on, and I think Billy does another show, and everyone's crushing the Kyle Pitts pick, because it's tight end in a 1 tight end league, in a non-tight end premium league. And I can understand people not liking the Kyle Pitts pick in a non-tight end premium thing. Maybe us taking him early, but just from a dynasty perspective, I had to see this with I knew this, But I had to see through my own eyes, and this is the worst thing ever. I'm not even this was like my notes off to the side. But every tight end after that, based on Dynasty ADP, Kelsey's going to be 32 when the season starts. Andrews are going to be like 26. Hawkinson's 25 or 24. Kittle's 28. Goddard's 27, 28. Waller's 29. I mean, Pitts has an 8-year, 7-year, 6-year head start on these guys as far as Dynasty. I mean, we're talking about a league where Drake London, Burks, Olave, these guys are getting taken in the third round, and we don't even know where they're going yet. Rookies are being taken so high. Kyle Pitts is 21 years old. So from a Dynasty perspective, we're going to have the number one tight end, hopefully, probably, for the next 10 years, just total points combined. But listening to the podcast from the other night, Dom from Go Bills, listen, main event champ, world champion, $500,000. Those guys are smart. They know what they're doing. But Dom brings up a point like, well, he better be good type deal. Like Kyle Pitts better be. I didn't know that was even a thing that we were thinking that Kyle Pitts was. He went for 1,000 yards as a rookie.
On a terrible team.
On a terrible team. The team's still terrible.
Without touchdowns.
With one touchdown. If he scores like 4 touchdowns, I don't even know how we can even change our opinion on him, but he can't go higher than number one. If he scores 4 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns. Oh, Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota isn't going to be there. Maybe even this year he won't start. And by the way, Marcus Mariota's rookie year, he had Delaney Walker as his tight end. Delaney Walker went for over 1,000 yards and I think 6 scores. Delaney Walker. So Pitts is awesome. I think maybe the joke's on us. I don't care. He's going to be there. We're going to have him. And, we're not going to have to roll the dice on, Cole Kmet, David Njoku, Mike Gesicki, whoever Louis traded the world for the other night. I just had to get that off. I'm done defending Kyle Pitts as a fifth. And by the way, not for nothing, speaking of DLF, this content. Speaking of DLF, his ADP is like 7 in single to tight end non-premium leagues. So we took him 2 picks early. I'm not crying over that.
I'm excited to talk here. I didn't realize any of that was happening.
Oh, where have you been, Mike? Come on.
I've been looking for a lost bird for 5 days. That's where
That is true.
I've been. So I didn't realize any of that was happening. I'm not surprised either. Like, I'm not surprised that there are people who thought that was weird. And there is the part of it where it was kind of by mistake. But we traded for that pick the day before.
Yes.
And yes, you told me it was tight end premium, and I believed you. But what I wanted from that, I wanted to make the first move. So we traded 3 and 4, a third and a fourth for 105. Not even, so sure about who it was going to be.
Yeah.
We had a couple lines drawn, but it was more like, let's make the first move and see what else happens. Because this is a new group. You have a lot of people in here that know a lot. You have a lot of people in here who think they know a lot. And so let's see what comes from that trade. We did not trade out of the first round or move up in the first. We kept 110. I don't think we got the best value at 110 with Higgins, but I think in a poll, the player who would have won the poll for who we should take there would have been Kupp, and he was there in round 2. So that was okay. But, Pitt, I did not want to do running back at all. Najee Harris, no. Javonte, no. Like, I don't want to start a dynasty build like that. Receiver, sure, but I was a little bit down on Lamb. And because Lamb maybe you would have picked Lamb.
I would not have picked Lamb. I love Pitts. I still probably would have gone Pitts, but Lamb, I'm much higher on Lamb than you are. I will have a ton of CeeDee Lamb this year. And in Dynasty, I'm perfectly fine with CeeDee Lamb. But he's not the difference maker at the position that Kyle Pitts is at his position.
Yeah. Maybe. Lamb is great. He's on a great team. The fit is there. The Cooper part, like all of that looks good. The draft capital point, like everything sort of is thumbs up when it comes to CeeDee Lamb. But I keep thinking about target share with him. Like he did not end up really dominating. Dalton Schultz was more sort of the guy for his position, who was just he constantly like, how did CD Lamb? It's not why, it's how. How did CD Lamb, and it's maybe not because of him, not become a dominant figure in that offense? If he had, and they had figured that out, they could have won the Super Bowl, Dallas. Like they were getting a lot of takeaway luck, but they were good enough. Like the Rams won the Super Bowl. The Rams were not better than Dallas. If they were, it wasn't by much. So what am I saying? I feel like Lamb is somebody that you have every right to think is a great pick there. I think it's fine. I think at 6, we might have done it too, because I know I didn't want running backs, and I don't think you did either.
Yeah.
But,
and Lamb, I would have taken Lamb over Harris too. Like I would have taken Lamb, Pitts, Lamb, or Lamb Pitts there. Yeah.
But it's a little bit weird how he did not, with Gallup hurt, as it looked like in week 1, you and I were in Las Vegas watching that game in week 1. Like, this is beautiful. This guy. And Cooper had a great game too, a better game. But Lamb was like so excellent.
Involved. Yeah.
Yeah. But it just didn't really last. I mean, so make sure you know what I'm telling you. Like, I feel like he's great. In redraft this year, he's 5 or 6, on the list, wide receiver 5 or 6, maybe.
I think he might be a little bit lower. I feel like I'm going to be all over Lamb because I think he goes like mid to late second, and I think he goes in there with Diggs. I could have a lot of Diggs too. But
in terms of Pitts, I think we just watched his worst year.
Yeah, it's right, and it's like I completely agree. Pitts, I just was the discussion about did we take him too high? Fine. Billy says he's like, I'm not taking a tight end that high and because you're whatever, fine. But then there was discussion of like he better be good. I'm like, what? Like Kyle, like the only argument could be, hey, he might lose tight end eligibility in 2 years, but it's a start 3 receiver league, so we wouldn't be killed there either. So.
I like your point about the age difference between Pitts and the next 5 or so guys. Hawkinson is a little younger, but part of what you're doing in these, I think, is intentionally being different. Like you want to have a different build,
sure,
than who you're playing against. And I feel like Pitts, I mean, maybe that sort of worked against us because if you take Pitts off the board, then everybody else is not in any rush to take the next tight end. I guess Andrews might have been the next tight end, and he's younger, so you relieve the pressure a little bit on that position, which doesn't help you if you take the player. But here's a different way of doing this. And you and I think maybe this was most people in the league, but you're sort of going pick by pick. There were so many trades. Like you want to see, are we building for now or the future? And maybe it's like not a strength of mine, but I kind of want to try to do both simultaneously. And that's walking on the wire across Niagara Falls, I guess. I don't know.
And you made a great point too. We traded our third and our fourth, not our first, not our second. We traded our third and our fourth for a first. So I think it was house money at that point. And now, if I would have known, my only regret is knowing that everybody didn't want him. I would have waited until
I know.
You know what I mean? I would have taken Lamb and then taken him at 10. But now we know.
Who knows? I mean, it sounds like that, but not everybody in the league is riffing on the Kyle Pitts pick, as far as I know, or maybe they are. You can tell me now. Everybody is.
I know. I retweeted it. Somebody wrote a great article on breaking down the first round. I'll have to send that over to you. And the person who wrote the article really liked the Kyle Pitts, and he might have even used wins above replacement for that. And that's where he lost me. That's where he brings you in with the war. With war, but he might have said that maybe or something like that. But no, I am really excited about Pitts. I have his jersey, so he's going to be really, really good.
Yes, you wore it last time.
That's right.
My shirt has an octopus on the back.
The shirt you have now?
Yeah.
Is it a bowling shirt, like the octopi bowling team?
No, when I went to Hawaii, my mother-in-law was so excited for me to meet this one woman who. Her thing is shirts with like sea creatures that are caught and then laid down on the fabric, and she paints around it. It paints the seat. Should I show you?
I mean,
And
you can't not show me now. I mean, what's going on? Oh my goodness, what a shirt! So that's the stencil of a live octopus.
It's not. I don't think it's a stencil. I think it's like an actual octopus that then, so she does something with it and then removes it because there's not actually a fish.
Sure, that's right.
Stuck on my back.
That's a really cool shirt.
Yeah, I wanted to. I don't know, nothing.
Spice it up.
Okay, Kyle Pitts, let's go. Let's.
I know.
It's cool that I like hearing that there's
so much banter.
Dissent.
I love it. There's dissent. There's banter. I love it.
Yeah, you want that. You want that.
Of course, everyone. Everyone's invested. It's the first. Hey, it's the first $1,000 Dynasty League over at FFWC, and I'm so happy to be a part of it.
Me too. Clock management. We were talking about that. It's been late here. It's getting late here, but I don't mind saying it because we're talking about that draft too. Make your pick.
You talking to me or just in general?
Just not you. I'm not talking to you because you and I know what we're doing. I mean, just make your pick.
Louis almost timed out.
Settle down. I mean, it's fine. People have this thing where it's like, okay, I would trade this pick, but maybe I won't, but I could. So if you're interested, let me know. Don't we all know that already? Don't we all know that already about every single league we're in, every single draft we're in, every player on your roster? I would trade Calvin Ridley. I know. If you're doing it right and you're spending $1,000 on these leagues and you're just snap call, I want to play. Don't we all know that you would trade anybody depending? Isn't that a given? You don't have to tell me what you would maybe trade this. I know you would trade this player. I know you would trade this pick. We got it. So, I don't know.
I love that you're wondering about this. I don't know if you saw my comment in the chat. There's a chat for this league, and it's great. There's a lot of action going on in there. And I said at one point I said, we know that you'll trade back. Everybody, we'll let you know if we want to trade up. We know everybody wants to trade back every single pick. Okay, after pick. What was on the clock? 1-3 might have been on the clock. Might have been on the block when the draft started. Everything from 1-3 down has been on the block. We'll let you know if we want to trade up.
Well, four was traded. 5 was traded.
4 was traded. 5 was traded. Yep, that's right. I love it. I love this.
See, to me, that became a question of politics because I didn't want. I told you the one night I had a tweet or a text for that thread written out to sort of represent the way I'm talking right now, but I pulled it back because I didn't really need to do that. I mean, what you want is you want people to do things for you. You want them to do the things you want them to do. So to bash them, I don't think really has any value. But man, in general, just okay. We know. You're right. That text thread, I mean, it's cool guys, and I'm so happy to be in it like you are. It does have a lot of action, including me the last 2 nights tweeting nonsense GIFs because you've got GIFs, I have to push play on this and then watch it and then try to figure out what it means. The last 2 nights, I just started just give me 3, 4, 5 random GIFs. And then I'm just going to put these in. What is he trying to say? Nothing. I'm not trying to say anything at all. I'm just trying to just get through this. The GIFs mean nothing. Happy dance. I don't care who you picked. I'm not happy. I'm not dancing. I'm just putting something on the table. I'm just putting something in there.
So
if you get confused, even better.
We just want content, Mike. I don't rip on anybody except Louie and Billy because they know that I love them. So I'll rip on them all the time.
I mean, I could rip. I just don't want to do it to you if I'm going to want something from you in 5 minutes. I'll just try to make it generic. And hey, everybody out there, trade bait, speaking of MFL or any site that has trade bait, fine. Because what trade bait does in February, March, April is it reminds certain people that they're actually in a fantasy football league because they forgot. because they don't,
Right.
even if they have a podcast, you can send them a trade and a week goes by and they don't even see it. Like those people exist. So you get the trade bait going. Everybody gets the email or the notification. Oh, Mike Show put Travis Etienne on the trade bait. What's he trying to accomplish? All he's trying to accomplish probably is to wake you up. And maybe then you will think about your fantasy team that you're paying $150 for every year that never wins. Like maybe then you will actually be like, what should I do about this team? I'm going to care about this. I know I have a busy life. We all do. Maybe you have a missing bird. Maybe you have, kids or work and other stress creators in your life. That's most of us. What were we talking about?
I don't remember. Oh, we were talking about the chat, and we know that you want to trade back. That's how it all started.
Yeah. But everybody wants to trade back all the time.
Yeah,
it's what the NFL doesn't do right, and everybody that's sort of keen on fantasy knows that. These trade up has sort of the stigma that it's necessarily wrong. So, we know why. We've all read the 538 articles, and we all know why trading up is bad. We all know that it's random. We still deal with fans all the time who can't figure that out. Whatever. You're playing for this kind of money. You pay attention. You know how random it is. You know how bad the NFL is at figuring out, predicting who the good players are. So trading down is better. More picks, more kicks at it. You've read Bill Barnwell. We all know that. Then you get into a fantasy league with 11 other people who know the same thing. What are you supposed to do? What you're supposed to do is, one idea you could maybe come to agree with is trade up for a tight end, because nobody else in your league is going to trade up. And they're not going to want to, and nobody else wants the tight end. So you do that, and you try to, chart a certain path because you've done that. I mean, I don't know, I'm being cheeky now, but if everybody else wants to trade down, trade up, throw your number one away, we didn't end up doing that though. We ended up,
or our second.
We ended up adding a second. I think we traded our first, then got another one.
If I could go back. If I could go and start, I feel like this is a horrible thing to say about $1,000 dynasty draft. Is I feel like I learned so much about, like, if I could do it all over again, if I do another one, like, I feel like the 7th round was probably the round to be in. I think we talked about this. Like, I would maybe try to gobble up 7th round picks. I think was the round that I thought was really, really good, outside of obviously like the first round or whatever. But if I'll do more dynasties and stuff like that. But
Right.
I think if I could, I hate to say this was a mock draft because it certainly wasn't. But the 6th, 7th round had a lot of guys. Allen Robinson, Michael Thomas, Claypool, Tony, Juju.
Were we in there?
Connor, were we in there? That was a great question. We were not in there. We were not.
That's a good question.
That's what I'm
It's
saying.
the right question.
There's the guy who Fantasy BSOL took Allen Robinson in a trade that he had made with us for, I don't even know. We've made so many trades.
Are we going to have a special episode about Allen Robinson? Because what is going on here? What is this business with you and Allen Robinson?
I got to trade for him first, Mike. I've got the emails going back and forth, and then we can talk. I want to talk Allen Robinson down right now. I want to get his trade value down. No, I mean, what?
Which team jersey do you have? Do you have Bears? Do you have Jaguars? Do you have Rams?
Listen, he's great. Let's talk about Allen Robinson. He's 28 years old. He's never had a decent quarterback in his entire life, and now he's going to LA. I mean, it's Odell Beckham not injured all over again. What was
Beckham worth last year? Well, he wasn't on the Rams all year, though.
If Odell Beckham was perfectly healthy right now, where would Odell Beckham be going?
Well, not what I want to find out. I mean, Beckham on the Rams, he scored a few touchdowns. It was maybe even less than half a season. It was fine, but it wasn't. What would a meaningful in fantasy?
What would a 28-year-old Odell Beckham? I mean, Allen Robinson isn't Odell Beckham, but he's really good. Like, he's a guy he's going to be my Big Mike. He's going to be my Cooper Kupp. He's going to be a guy.
See, that's a problem for me. That's a problem for me because last year Cooper Kupp was your Cooper Kupp, and all it did was win you all the money. And I'm like, what is the deal? What is going on here? It's not even that good.
But Allen Robinson.
Kupp is on Robinson's team before you get carried away.
I know.
I don't know. They just won the Super Bowl. They weren't great. Are they going to be great now? That's a different question. Fantasy is what we care about.
That's right.
All right, let's end this.
Let's end it. It's the longest show ever. Good job.
Thanks for watching.
See you
Again,
guys.
I'll move some stuff around next week, and we'll tweak it. And I think Adam's getting rid of his green screen too. I feel like we're going back to the lobster roll.
That's right. The lobster roll for sure. All right, everybody.
Tell us how you want us to decorate.
Yeah, that's right. Put it. Yeah, that's right.
What do you want to? I watch. All these guys have these books and I don't know, pictures of
Leather-bound books like Ron Burgundy. They got all these leather-bound.
Is that what you want to see here? I've got lots of stuff I could put back there. I've got every Super Bowl MVP 1 to 30 on a helmet. I got other ones like sitting over there.
That's right.
Maybe next week. All right. Are we on Tuesday?
We are, of course. Oh yeah, we're back. We're back Tuesday talking probably underdog drafts that Louis and I did another one last night. Louis wasn't in there though.
We gotta hone in on these rookies. I mean, it's 2 weeks from tonight.
I know. No, I want to do a running back show on Tuesday. That's what we were supposed to do last Tuesday. Let's do a running back show.
Who is your RB3
overall?
Redraft. Yep.
Redraft. That's a phenomenal question. I was thinking about that today. I don't have one.
Eckler.
It's RB3. I wouldn't even have one. It's going to be receiver.
All the touchdowns, huge spike in touchdowns, and couldn't they draft somebody? Like, isn't that a team that could or should do that?
Sure,
I mean,
yes.
There's so many teams where like they don't need a running back, but they still do it. The Chargers with Eckler, all their backups are kind of terrible. Like, aren't they perfect for like? I mean, who is the Brian Robinson or somebody like? Who is the player? The Chargers. I don't know what that means to Eckler, but everybody's got like sort of a butt, that where you like. I don't want to pick them because of that, but
the RB3 is Breece Hall or Saquon Barkley.
Okay. Barkley, that's so hot. Barkley at 3.
Just don't. I'm telling you, redraft right now. I almost want to get into these early football guys because it's just this. We
were going to talk about that too. We didn't talk about that. Well, we missed Tuesday.
I want to test myself because I can answer the question now, but obviously when I go to a draft, like the RB3, to me, it's Taylor, it's McCaffrey, or to me, it's McCaffrey, Taylor, and then it's receiver for like.
I know, but it's going to be Javonte Williams.
11 picks. I mean, if they don't get a running back there, I can see Javonte too. But.
All right, let's go. Thanks,
Goodbye.
everybody. This was cool tonight. Thanks to Sticky, and we will see you Tuesday. Have a nice weekend.
See you guys.